Are you tired of hearing nothing but bad news? Tune into the good news of the gospel. Welcome to Good News with Greg Fritz.
Welcome to the broadcast today. My name is Greg Fritz, and this is Good News with Greg Fritz. We have got good news for you. If you've heard enough bad news lately, if you've been overwhelmed by the media and the reports worldwide, and you want to not escape from reality, but if you want to escape to reality, you've come to the right place. We are going to be sharing with you from God's Word today. We are going on a journey through man's redemption. And we use the term good news because it is another way to say the gospel. And that's just another way to qualify or quantify man's redemption. And it's a story, and it has a beginning and a middle and an end. And the end is out of this world. So we are so happy that you're here. I have prayed for you already. We are expecting people to tune in and to log in and to turn us on and to listen to our show. We're trying to make it available through every means that is at our disposal. We have podcasts that you can go download. We also have a website that you're welcome to go to, gregfritz.org. And on the website, there are free downloads, there are articles. We have lots of products that will really help you, bless you, bring truth that we've preached for so many years around the world. I've put those together for your benefit, and I think they would be a blessing to you. So if you have time, go check out our website and communicate with us. If you've been following this show, if you enjoy the content of our messages, please go to the website and communicate with us. Tell us you like us. We have a Facebook page, Greg Fritz Ministries. Go look at our Facebook page and like us. All of these things will help us. They help us, encourage us. For one thing, it encourages me, and it helps us to continue the work, the effort, the expense to do these broadcasts for your benefit. So we're glad you're here today, and we're excited to go through this journey with you. And it's a journey that'll change your life. I promise you, the Word of God, the gospel of Jesus Christ, it is the best message in the world, and it has within it the power to save you and deliver you and change you and make your life better in every way. So let's go look at a couple of scriptures. We'll kind of get you caught up where we've been and show you kind of where we're going. But Romans chapter 1 and verse 20 says, "For since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes," that means God's, "are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." And the they he's talking about here would be people who refuse to believe in God. And the point that's being argued here by the Apostle Paul, and it's really by the Holy Spirit, by God Himself, is that there is enough evidence in the world around you to proclaim or to announce or to prove the existence of God. Or you could put it this way, there's enough evidence for you to believe in God. And that is a very important point. That's a very important part of our theology. And it's the doorway into a relationship with God. First of all, you have to believe that He is. Hebrews 11:6 says, "He who comes to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him." So believing in God is of utmost importance. I'm a preacher. I'm a gospel preacher. I don't deny that. And it's my job to get people to believe in God. But it's not hard to do. Everybody's capable of it. Some people have refused. And what he's saying here in Romans 1:20 is that by looking at all of the creation, everything around us, after taking a look at that, people who deny God are without excuse. And that's not my standard, that's God's standard. And I want to read this verse in Psalms. It's Psalm 19, verses 1 and 2, and this is in the New Living Translation. It says, "The heavens proclaim the glory of God." Just like a work of art, a piece of art that's very expensive or even they say art's priceless. I'm not sure. I think they can put a price on anything, but there are works of art that are very, very valuable, and they literally proclaim they have the handprint, the thumbprint, if you will, of the artist. It's a part of that artist. And so God's masterpiece is creation, and specifically you're a part of creation. But the Bible says the heavens, the stars, the universe itself proclaims the glory of God. The skies display His craftsmanship. Day after day they continue to speak. Night after night they make Him known. So there's some evidence right there. You don't have to have a preacher come tell you this. You don't have to go to a seminary, go to a Bible school. The heavens, the creation is preaching a message for everyone that cares to listen. And God said that if you look at that and you deny His existence, that really that's not acceptable. He says they're without excuse. And so we're dealing with this issue because it's very important. It's important for you to know that your worldview matters. And I, felt like for a long time, it's a matter of opinion. People can believe what they want to believe. If some people don't want to believe in God and they don't, that's their right, and it is. But it's not just a difference of opinion. It doesn't stop there. Your worldview affects every decision you make, especially the big ones. It affects the way governments are run. It affects policy. It affects laws and legislation. It is so vitally important that you realize that we're talking about two different paths, two different roads that lead in different directions. And believing in God is not just for the weak-hearted or the weak-minded. It's not just for those that don't have any options or those that don't have much. It's not just for people that are desperate, that are looking for an escape. Believing in God is the right path. It makes more sense than not, and the benefits are amazing. Just to believe that there's a God and then pursue Him. And that's one of the biggest disadvantages for not believing in God. If somebody doesn't believe in God, then they stop the pursuit immediately. Then there's no follow-up. There's no further revelation. You have to come to that point in your life where you say, and every person needs to come to that point where they say, all right, there is a God. And then you're open then to more information, more revelation, a greater encounter with God Himself. God, listen, He is not hidden so He can't be found. He's literally wanting to be found. He's not visible, not physically, but He is findable. He wants to be found. He wants people to seek Him. And the laws that govern this universe, our laws of physics, thermodynamics, the laws are clearly presented in the Bible. And I know this is not thermodynamics, but whatever. It's this law: seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened. Ask and you shall receive. In James, it says, draw near to God and He'll draw near to you. So the move is in your court. The move is yours to make. And if you'll make a step toward God by acknowledging His existence, then He responds by revealing Himself further and further to your life. And so it's not hard to do. It's an amazing thing because it's not based on sight. It's not based on physical evidence. It's just, prayer itself. Think about this. And there are many watching today that are Christians. And you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. One of the craziest things in the world to do is go lock yourself in a room and you're the only one there and start talking to God. If you videoed that, you would see yourself in an empty room talking to nothing. And yet we do it every day. And those of us that have made that step of faith or leap of faith know that it's real. We know there is a God. And not only do we talk to God, but He talks to us. And then we learn of Him. And then His Word becomes clear to us. It is a process. It's a journey. And it all begins by taking that step and saying, okay, I believe there's a God. It's not that hard to do. Everybody can do it. Everybody ought to do it. And so we encourage you to take that step today. So the Scriptures say that the heavens or the creation declares the glory of God or the presence of God, the attributes of God are seen in this way. And I made reference to this, but even lost people groups, pagan tribes that have been discovered over the years, that have had no access to the Bible, no access to modern literature, television, radio, they've never had a preacher visit, they still believe in a creator. They still believe in a great spirit. They still believe that something is behind creation. And that is a universal, it's something everybody can do. And it seems to me that the only place in the world where people don't believe in God is where they've been educated. And it's taken hundreds of years of higher education to really push that belief out of people's minds, or to cause them to quit asking this question: who made the world? Who did this? Who's responsible for this? Who did it? And if you'll ask that question, there are answers to that question. But to simply accept this premise that there's no God causes people to quit asking. And that puts you in a corner, it puts you in a box where God's not able to reveal Himself in your life. So anyhow, you understand the point we're making. Now I want to move on because I want to show you how important this is. This is not just a difference of opinion, but these beliefs have huge consequences on society, on our world, and in your individual life. And then we're going to see this by reading on here in Romans chapter 1. He ends verse 20 by saying, so that they, people who don't believe in God, are without excuse. Verse 21, because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God. So he's saying deep down, you know there's a God. Deep down, you've got that sense that there's something bigger out there that is responsible for everything. So he says, although they knew God, they were not thankful, and they became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. So not believing in God just cuts you off from the light of the truth, of gospel truth. And it's a dangerous place because one thing leads to another. Notice in verse 22, it says, professing to be wise, they became fools. Now those are not my words. These are words in the Bible. And I know sometimes the Bible is very direct. Sometimes God is pretty blunt. And when it comes to this subject, He's very, very blunt and upfront. And He's saying, if you choose to believe there's no God, you're without excuse. And your heart is darkened. You don't have full understanding. And you can say that you're wise, but it's foolish. In fact, the Old Testament says it's the fool that has said in his heart, there is no God. There are consequences to refusing to believe that there's a God. Verse 23, here's what happens. People who don't believe in God, they change the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, birds, four-footed animals, and creeping things. And this gives reference to all of the idols that other people have worshipped over the generations past, and idol worship in all kinds. And that's not as common today, not with a physical idol, but people do worship today. They worship other things, and we won't get into all that right now. But he's saying that if God's not in your life, if you're not going to believe in a God, in a Creator God that's behind everything, then you open yourself up to darkness, confusion, and then idols fill that void. Idols. People worship idols, and they have worshiped idols, thousands. In fact, they say in India there are over 500 million gods that people worship in India. And that comes in and fills the void. And listen, that brings confusion. That makes it hard to see life through the proper eyes, through the proper mindset. And then choices can be made that are detrimental. And that's happening all around us. Verse 24, Therefore, God also gave them up to uncleanness in the lusts of their hearts, to dishonor their bodies among themselves. A lot of sin, a lot of immoral activity has come into the world through this void, this void where God belongs. And people should believe in God. Society should believe in God. Governments should believe in God. And that helps deter us. It protects us from things that will creep in without that. God takes up room in your mind and in your heart, and that's room that's going to be filled with something else if He's not there. And this is literally just talking about the belief in God. Not necessarily, it hasn't even gone beyond to Christianity, to the belief in Jesus, to salvation. This is just simply a worldview that is incredibly important in the way you and governments make decisions. So when people get into that mindset, God gives them up to uncleanness in the lusts of their hearts, to dishonor their bodies among themselves. Verse 25, who exchanged the truth of God for the lie, and worshiped and served the creature rather than the Creator. Have you seen that? Of course. We've seen people who are worshiping animals and protecting the planet and worshiping the creation rather than worshiping the God that made the creation. And that is a tactic that doesn't happen if God is allowed in. If God is able to take His proper place in your mind, in your theology, in your heart, or in someone's mind, their theology, in their heart. God deserves that place in your life. And in fact, He's not making any demands in this chapter. The only thing He's saying is, look, how can you not believe in God? How can you deny His existence? And look at what it does. Look at all of the downside to denying that God exists. Verse 25, who exchanged the truth of God for the lie, worshiped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Romans 1:25 in the New Living Translation says this, they traded the truth about God for a lie, so that they worshiped and served the things God created instead of the Creator Himself, who is worthy of eternal praise. You know, it's kind of convenient if you don't want to be thankful to deny that there is a God. Then you don't have to find Him, you don't have to thank Him, and you don't owe Him anything. But I'd rather be objective and have this determination. If there is a God, I'm going to find Him. If there is a God, I owe my very existence to Him. And I want to know why He made me. I want to know what He wants. And I want to find a way in my life to say thank you for allowing me to live. Because if there is a God, I was alive in His heart and His mind before there was anything. If there is a God, all these things are the result of His efforts, His investment, His work, His creation. And I don't know about you, but I'm thankful. I'm glad to be alive. You know, I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but it's possible that you could have never existed. Wouldn't that be terrible? It's a place of non-existence. Wow, you could have never been born. You could have been the way you were before you were born. And what is that? Nothing. You could have never existed. But you were a dream. You were purposed. You were preordained. You were loved before you ever became a human. God had you in His mind and His heart, and all of creation was made with you in mind. Can you see how that brings value to human life? Can you see how humans are different than all other creatures on the earth? That we are God's creation. We were created in His image, after His likeness. We were created by God Himself to know Him and to walk with Him and to understand Him. And so Romans 1 now is talking about this worldview, this mindset that believes there's no God, atheism. The belief that God does not exist, that nothing out there is real if you can't see it. And that is a dangerous place to be. He goes on to say, verse 26, this is Romans chapter 1, for this reason God gave them up. This is people who refuse to acknowledge Him, to vile passions. And then he goes on to say in verse 28, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge. And I've told you before, God's not mad at you. God loves you. God created you. God wants to bless you. But I'm going to tell you, He doesn't like this. He loves you, but He does not like this. The fact that people don't want to retain Him in their knowledge, that is a dangerous position. It says, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do those things that are not fitting. So what this says is, if you would withdraw yourself to this position where there is no God, where you want to live there, then it opens the door for confusion, and it opens the door to do those things that are not fitting. Sometimes people are destroying their own lives. They're simply living in a world they created. And it's difficult to create a proper world if you don't have a God, if you don't have the God, if you don't believe in God. It's hard to make right choices when you look at the world through that lens. And that's the point he's making here. And what I'm telling you is this, is that it's not just a difference of opinion. People can believe what they want, but if you choose not to believe in God, and the world largely has done that, and you and I are living in a world that is the result of this kind of thinking. Our governments, most of our governments don't accept the fact that God exists. They make laws, they make decisions based on that belief, and it affects all of us. And it opens this door. When God's not present, there's a huge void, and unfortunately, evil seems to fill that void. And it is diabolical. I'm going to read to you from God's own words the things that happen to a world, a person, a society that refuses to acknowledge God's existence. It says here in verse 29, this is Romans chapter 1, and I'm reading from the New King James Version. Being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. Listen, a lot of the bad news in the world comes, does this sound familiar? We live through this every day. Things happen in our world every day that could come under one of these categories. And what the Bible is saying is, look, you've taken God out. Look at our school systems. Now they're trying to throw God out of the courthouse. It's very, very dangerous to do these things. And the alternative is a world without God. And unfortunately, evil begins to dominate. And this is part of what's wrong with the system we're living in. And I want to give God equal time. I'm trying to tell people, hey, don't forget about this. This isn't an inconsequential point. I'm not just a crazy preacher trying to get my own personal message out there. There is a God, and to accept that reality will change your life. And to deny His existence has very, very harmful effects. The list goes on. We're only half through. It says they become full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. I'm not even done yet. It goes on and on. This is one of the most extensive lists in the Bible. And what opened the door for all of this? That simple, it's a very simple path. There's two choices: believe in God or deny that there's a God. And these are the consequences. It's very real, and it's happening all around us. Verse 31, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful. And this is a picture of the world we live in today. I can't tell you how important it is for you to know and to believe good news. The gospel is God's revelation of Himself to us. He wants to help us avoid all of these problems, all of the downs that could be avoided. You can live a life that's full of blessings, a life of hope, a life of joy. You can be forgiven. What I like is you can go to bed at night and you can be so assured that God is with you, God is protecting you, God is going to make sure that whatever you need in your life, you have it. He's our provider. He's our Savior. He's our protector. Can you see the difference? What a cold, harsh reality to get up every day in a world where you don't believe there's a God. How do people live that way? I don't see how they face life with that belief, and I certainly don't understand how they can deal with death and not believe that there's a God, that there's a place called heaven, that there's a life beyond this one. Wow, that gives you something to live for. It gives you something to hang on to. You know, the Bible says, without vision, my people perish. That just simply means they cast off restraints. They don't have any discipline. They have no boundaries, no borders. Well, why should you? If this life is all there is, then what difference does it make what you do? If all we are is animals that have evolved, then what is morality? What is truth? It's just your opinion against mine. I mean, I have just as much right to be here and say what I want to say as you do. And there's really no higher power, no higher authority. That's a dangerous place to live. And our court systems and our government is living in that. Many world governments live with that within those boundaries. And they have a hard time, listen, they have a hard time making right choices. When you don't really agree on what right and wrong is, it's hard to make a right choice. And we know that there's a God, and He brings meaning. He brings the definition. He answers these questions. He shows us what right and wrong really is. And when we live life according to His recipe, according to His manual, His owner's manual, the Bible, when we live life according to God's requirements, His commandments, His suggestions, His advice, I mean, you can live life however you want to, but when you live life God's way, it's blessed. It's happy, it's fulfilled, and you have a future and a hope. You can get up every day and you know what? I'm one day closer to my ultimate destiny. God's with me. I'm never alone. I'm never forsaken. I'm always in the palm of His hand. He's my Savior and the protector of my life. What a wonderful way to live life. And if you are interested in more in this on this subject, I wrote a new book, and it's entitled Good News. And you can go to our website, you can look at the information on your screen, and you can send in, email in, call in, get one of these books. It will fill in a lot of blanks, answer a lot of questions, and it'll help you on your journey, on your walk with God. And the subtitle of my book is Good News, It's So Good the Bad News Doesn't Matter. It will bless your life. Hope you can tune in to our next show where we'll continue this teaching. And until then, may God's best be yours.
It seems bad news is covering the globe these days, yet God has good news for you that's so good the bad news won't matter anymore. To order your copy of Greg's book, visit our website, gregfritz.org.
I hope you're enjoying the content that we put on these programs and the good news as clearly and as accurately as I can possibly bring it to you. It's better than I can ever say, but this good news needs to be preached around the world. And I'd like to say a word of thanks to our partners and friends. I let people know that I was going to do this program before it ever started, and people have come together and partnered with this ministry to make this possible, and I can't thank you enough. Your gifts of love, your finances, your support, your prayers mean more than words can express. And if you're out there and you're watching these programs and you say, wow, I really like this, I want to watch, I want to share this, I want to help spread the word, we would love for you to partner with us. Come to our website and you can find out how to be a partner with Greg Fritz Ministries, and together we'll take the good news around the world.
Coming up next on Good News with Greg Fritz.
Crown jewel of God's creation is man. He said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Nothing else was created that way. Nothing else had the attention of God, and nothing else was so precious and valuable to God as mankind.